Hilltop Festival in Goa is the largest psytrance event in the world, holding an annual occurrence at the club Hilltop Goa since 1974. It was started by Steve and Starling D'Souza, hippies who moved to Goa in the 60s. Based on differentiating contexts, identities, backgrounds, and values, each individual holds a different interpretation of the event's dimensions of pleasure, beauty, aesthetics, and art. However, as though each subgroup comes from different backgrounds, they all hold one goal in common when visiting Hilltop. Through attending the festival, participants, both as current-day visitors in this internationally renowned party and as cultural observers, have the opportunity to experience traditions of the original GOA trance hippies decades before. Through this, we can dissect how multiculturalism affects the perception of the event both historically and in the current day. GOA trance is the merging of techno and traditional Punjab dance music known as Bhangra, emerging in mainstream Western media in the 80s. Through a post-colonial lens, we can view events such as Hilltop as the merging of East and West cultures, with the valorization of the West, as author Sharma notes, in privileging the tropes of diaspora, migrancy, and hybridity. This encounter of third world cultures within the West becomes the framework through which non-Western cultures are interpreted. Thus, the commoditized trance scene can be viewed as the product of cultural merging of counterculture hippie traditions in a familiar yet exotic Goa, dictated by the techno subgenre Goa trance, a subgenre within the constraints of systemic cultural perceptions of Asia by the West. The craze around Goa hippie culture originates from the hippie movement in the 60s. In the already impoverished Portuguese colony of Goa. Unhappy with the current state of their nations of origin, Goa hippies sought to liberate and fulfill their true inner selves, thereby transforming society. Through the traditions supporting a nomadic spirituality in which various self-transformative techniques and ritual practices are developed and employed, such as meditation, yoga, New Age therapy, trance parties, and psychedelic drugs. Thus, Goa is a state filled with utopian hippie ideals. Today, visitors from all over the world visit Goa to experience the legacy of original hippies and to have the opportunity to be a part of their visions to transform society through individual spiritual liberation. Thereby, Hilltop becomes part of a religious-like tradition, where the artistic elements of the festival resemble almost those of religious institutions, with divine themes, beings, and other religion-like concepts of the hippie era can be experienced by the modern audience. The sense of pleasure within this counterculture is closely integrated with the popular imagination of pleasure that lies in the intersection of music, dance, exotic tourism, and recreational drug use. In events such as Hilltop, framing pleasure within the social realities of the different cultural groups that constitute Goa migrants, and the cultural elements of the local India as those that the hippie era sought, an idealized way to create social, political transformation through seeking alternative ways of living and liberating the self. This is evident through Goa trance, a subgenre of techno music where dominating and thereby familiar styles such as German trance are combined with Bhangra to create an alternative subgenre, feeding the countercultural ideals while still being receptible to Western audiences. This combination of genres is a result of historic migration, globalization, and diasporas prominent in Goa. As Goa's multicultural crowds are familiar with different types of music, the combination allows for Goa trance to be receptive to all. Then, spaces such as Hilltop become museum-like for hippie counterculture, where rituals such as psychedelic use and transformation, in combination with the experience of Goa trance and its associated atmosphere, become a space where both in-group members and spectators can be part of the transformative experience through observing and participating in the original practices of Goa hippies. Annual recurrences of renowned events such as Hilltop create a ritualistic environment for the festival, evoking an expectancy of the fantastical, and an environment of liminality such as those in museums where people can step back from practical concerns and social relations of everyday life and look at themselves and the world. This liminal dimension further spurs the self-transformational and countercultural pursuits of hippie ideals, adding to Hilltop's authentic listening environment of hippie counterculture. Within these elements of music, environment, and history, Hilltop creates a tailored space for aesthetic judgment of a diverse crowd. Following Kant, the agreeableness of the festival is satisfied through immediate pleasures, such as the recognition of musical elements despite the culturally diverse crowd, and the general happy feel of the crowd. The beauty of the space is captured within its legacy. the universally known freedom pursuits of the hippies, creating the universal notion that in attending the event, there is an expectancy of pleasure to be experienced. Aesthetics of Hilltop are also similar to Navajo tradition, where art, in our case the liminal experience of the festival, is viewed as a transformational experience for the crowd, where one can have a taste of the event as a product of the organizers, but as the hippie way of life of happiness and harmony. Audiences may gain aesthetic values and meanings for the historic hippie traditions.